I woke up in a burning helicopter. I unbuckled my seatbelt and I nearly broke my neck because my helmet was plugged into commo and the helicopter was completely inverted. It was upside down and I was completely disoriented. I tried to free the pilot. I took his knife and tried to cut his seatbelt. He was crushed up against the instrument panel and I'm sure he was dead. And the chopper was burning and I jumped off of it. And when I jumped off the chopper, I could see by the light of the fire the other crew on the ground. And then the helicopter just went up in a big whoosh, just like that. Only at that time did I realize that my left collarbone was broken and the two bones in my left forearm were fractured. I had no glasses and I had lost a bunch of teeth. It turned out to be 7. And I had burns on my legs and back. The M60 in the chopper cooked off a bunch of rounds and some of them hit me in the back and left shoulder. So we took stock. We had a severely wounded warrant officer, a moderately wounded flight surgeon, an unharmed crew chief. We had no supplies, 2 .38 pistols and 12 rounds of ammunition and a knife. The flares, the first aid kit, all the survival gear had burned up in the helicopter. That night, I splinted the co-pilot's leg with tree branches and an army belt. And I strapped my left arm to my body, there's an orthopedist out here, in a modified Velpo dressing because of my collarbone. And we made a lean-to with the door of the helicopter. It was pouring rain, and the 3 of us huddled under that door all night long. The next morning at first light, we sent the crew chief for help. We thought we knew where we were. We thought we were very close to Friendly's, about 10 miles west of Friendly's. He never came back. Later, actually 6 years later, when I came back, I was informed that he was found dead, shot dead, and submerged in a rice paddy just very close to the crash site. The rule is you stay with the aircraft, and that's what we did. For 3 long, rainy days and nights. The weather never cleared. The poor co-pilot was very brave and in a great deal of pain. We had nothing to eat but rainwater. And on the morning of the 3rd day, 2 December 1967, this brave young warrant officer just slipped away. When he died, I decided to leave the aircraft and go for help. I took the compass from the burned out aircraft and I thought we were west of Friendly's, so I moved east, I thought. Couldn't see the sun. I went down the mountain and I went as close to 090 as I could. I went down a riverbed because the foliage was so thick I couldn't make my way through that. And I fell once and I cracked some ribs falling in the riverbed. When I got to the bottom of the mountain, the sun came out and I could see that I had gone the wrong way. I had actually gone west. And the compass was broken. And I saw helicopters hovering over the crash site. They actually found the crash site the next day. And they saw that the co-pilot's leg was, quote, professionally splinted, and they assumed that I was alive and not critically injured. And that became a big deal. I walked about a mile down the path and I saw a man working in a rice paddy. And he saw me first, and I had a captain rank and caduceus on my fatigues, and he said, Daiwi Baxi, which means Captain Doctor. And he took me a short ways down a path to a hooch, and he sat me down outside the hooch, and he went in and came out with a can of sweetened condensed milk, a C-ration can opener, and a C-ration spoon. And I opened it, and I was eating this stuff. It was like pudding, and very shortly, within seconds, a squad of 14 VC came upon me, and the squad leader said, "Surrender, no kill," in English. "Surrender, no kill." And he made a motion like raising his arms, and I raised my right arm, and my left arm was strapped to my body with the belt still, and he shot me right through through the trapezius where the neck and shoulder come together right here. It went right through me. And I think he was more nervous than I was. They took me. They took my dog tags and they took a medallion I had that my father had given me with a St. Christopher's on one side and a Star of David on the other. And they took my wallet and my ID card, and I showed them my Geneva Convention card, white with a red cross, which identified me as a medical personnel. And the guy tore it up, and he said, "No POW, criminal," in English. And then I was to find out what rough meant. For the next 5.5 years, 64 months, 1,932 days, I really learned what rough meant. They took me out, and there was a Vietnamese English-speaking officer, the first real English speaker. And he had one of these little tape recorders that was in a leather case around his neck. It was a reel-to-reel battery-powered recorder. And he said I could make a message to my family if I would agree to condemn the war. And he gave me a tea and a cigarette. And I said that I would rather die than make a statement against my country. And he said words to me that were the most profound prophetic words I had ever heard. He said, "You will find that dying is very easy. Living will be the difficult thing." And we got to Hickam about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I had promised that when I was captured, if I ever made it home again, I was going to sing "America the Beautiful" the minute I landed on American soil. So we landed about 2 o'clock in the morning. There were 1,500 people out to greet us at Hickam. And they had microphones set up, and they all came up and they put leis around our neck and everything. And we were in uniform, and there were reporters in this group. And I told them that I had vowed to sing "America the Beautiful," so I sang it. And everybody joined in, even the reporters. In those days, they could be neutral. You know, it was different. And I returned to my family. I met my son for the first time. I went to Valley Forge General Hospital, which was the closest hospital to my home of record. I was in and out of the hospital for 4 months in a casualty status. I had several surgeries. I had malnutrition. I had dysentery. I was eaten up with parasites. I had malaria. I had all the stuff. But I got out, and I went back to duty in August of 1973. I remained in the Army. I retired from the reserve. I've had the most successful practice down in Florida, beyond my wildest dreams. I don't have PTSD. I've never had a nightmare or a flashback. I'm not defined by my captivity. It was a bump in the road of my life, and nobody gets through life without some tragedy. And I just feel lucky. I am remarkably lucky. That's what I am. I survived a non-survivable plane crash. I'm the only survivor of the POW camp who was captured before 1968, and I was captured December 67. And in the end, I think it comes down to luck and calories. I was so fortunate to survive when so many braver and stronger men did not. I've done medical missions all over the world, and I just feel so lucky that I was born an American. I could have been born in Rwanda. I could have been. And I love my country more than anything. And I'm really proud and honored that I could serve my country under very difficult circumstances. And I can return and feel even more love and devotion to my country. I want to tell you this. I have to use these, but for a different reason. There were 12, I told you there were 12 survivors in our camp. Gail and I hosted a reunion for us in Orlando in October of last year, 2017. 12 survivors, 3 have died. It's been 45 years. That leaves 9. 1 guy was not invited. That leaves 8. 1 guy was sick and couldn't come. That leaves 7. And 1 guy's lost. We don't know where he is. We think he may be in Europe. That leaves 6. 6 guys, 3 white and 3 black. Some of them brought children and grandchildren. There were 16 of us in all. And we hosted this banquet in this fancy Orlando restaurant. And each man got up and spontaneously spoke of his love for the others and how we had all sustained each other and depended on each other, and how none of us would have survived if it hadn't been for all of us. And in this day of terrible racial divisions, the identity politics of the age, I call it the disuniting of America. I wish the whole country could have seen our banquet. I really do. Shakespeare, as usual, has it right. You know, he has King Henry V say, "We few, we happy few, we band of brothers, for he that sheds his blood with me this day shall be my brother." And these men, 3 white, 3 black, we are brothers. There's no question about that. And Shakespeare knew about veterans too. You know, he said, "He who survives this day and comes safe home will stand a tiptoe when this day is named and strip his sleeve and show his scars." I guess we have scars. We have physical scars for sure, maybe mental scars. But in this final phase of my life, when I can stand a tiptoe and just see the finish barely over the horizon, I am just so fortunate that I was able to make a contribution and come safe home. So thank you very much. Sorry if I went over.